Coming up on this week's Pembroke Dock Towncast, there's some traffic news, there's some events news, there's some interesting news, and then I've just come back from the Narberth Food Festival. Could we do one in the dock? Could we? Could we really? I think we could. Let's get on with the show.
Get strong.
Hello, welcome back to this week's edition of Pembroke Dock Towncast with me, Lee G. I am still on my own. Nobody wants to be my friend. Nobody wants to come and join me and have a chat. I don't blame them, to be honest, but it would be nice. Wouldn't it be nice to hear somebody else's voice just for once? If you want to join me, by all means, come and do. So, plenty of stuff going on in Pembroke Dock this week. Lots to get involved with. So, there's a fair bit of news to begin with. So, I'm gonna start with that. So, in addition to the usual stuff around the roadworks at Beers Pool, so I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but on weekends they tend to take them away. They did it for Ironman weekend, but they did it again for this weekend. Um, so hopefully that's something that will continue. I know they didn't do it before then, but it does seem to work if they do it on a weekend. So fingers crossed they'll be able to continue with that, and that would be much appreciated. I know it's only through weekends, but yeah, that would be much appreciated on that. What I will say that so they did it for Ironman, and then I was traveling into the dock on Monday morning, and they took the temporary traffic lights away over that weekend. And when I was traveling through, they hadn't put them back, so there was a lesser amount of cars around because everybody else had kind of trying to find different routes left, right, and centre. So I just was through. Yeah, straight through, no delays, no nothing. So, which what it says to me is when people complain about the lights down there, anyway, the Aldi lights as they're often called, it's because of the volume of traffic. That's what slows them down. Um, but we'll discuss that in another episode. That's not for this episode. So yes, so you may have seen that that's going to happen. They're going to continue up London Road, is what Wales and West have said. That's a description on their Facebook page. It will continue up London Road. Now, the original post said that they would start at the roundabout and they were in between the roundabout and the turn in for the ambulance station, basically. So my thought process is maybe they're going out that way, but I tend to call that the A477 rather than London Road, because if that's London Road, well, where does London Road stop? Does it stop in Kilgetty? So yeah, to me, they've said they're going to continue along London Road. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they are going the other side of the roundabout and towards Tesco's or whatever. But when we find out on Monday, we will do our best to let you know, put something on the Facebook page just so everyone knows what's happening and where traffic is, etc., etc. So, one of the side shots for having the traffic lights down the bottom there is more people are using Buttermilk Lane, and like kind of bypassing it and then getting out toward the Cockiston kind of junction out there and then turning right onto the A477. So there was a proposal that the um, Buttermilk Lane was going to be closed in the evenings from 6 until 11 from next week, from the 6th of October. However, there's also a post from Councillor John Harvey, who, that's his constituency. So his post says that they've now decided to delay those roadworks until the roadworks at the bottom of Ferry Lane have been delayed until they've been finished. So they're going to delay until there's other options. Um, So yeah, we I guess by this time next week we'll know definitely one way or the other. But I'm inclined to believe John when he said that that came out late on Friday. So I think it's probably right, and I think we'll probably see more information through this week. But keep your eyes and ears peeled because if it does happen, it's going to happen between 6 and 11. So all I mean is you've just got to go down the ferry lane. If you're heading out towards Tenby or whatever, and you're using that as your rat run. Incidentally, if you are using that as your rat run, just have a little bit of common sense that that's still there are a lot of residences across that road. It isn't your racetrack. It's a narrow lane in places. It isn't designed for the amount of traffic that's going across there. So just have a little bit of common sense and courtesy. I had the misfortune to travel across there once this week because I quite often do. Um, but yeah, it was a bit scary. So just have that little bit of common sense that there are still kids around there, there are still old folks around there. But maybe your kind of rat run, maybe your need to get home on time isn't quite as important as their need to stay alive. Let's leave it at that. So yeah, hopefully the two won't coincide and they will be able to coordinate and that'll be fantastic. So there's some other notices that have come out as well. This one I saw on the town council Facebook page. So from start of November, 3rd of November, there's going to be a lot of, well, it doesn't say a lot actually, it just says there will be heavy loads moving from Port of Pembroke to Waterston. So obviously coming, out of the Port of Pembroke, along Route 9 through London Road, up the hill, over to Neyland and out to Waterston. So they will have police escorts and whatever you, but just to be aware that those will be happening. Now it says that it'll be intermittent over 4 months. So it's November, December, January, February. It doesn't say how many, how often. It just says at points stuff will need to be moved from Port of Pembroke to Waterston. Um, so you can look at that one way and look at it another. Yes, you may be delayed, but actually there's a lot of really big construction work going in. The fact that it's coming into the Port of Pembroke means it's creating jobs in the Port of Pembroke. The fact that it's being moved over to LNG means that there's more security for the jobs at LNG. And I know there's a lot of people in Pembroke and Pembroke Dock that work at LNG. So, it's a small price for us to pay for a short period of time, and it's not going to be very often. So yeah, just if you're 5 minutes late, you're 5 minutes late. It's just the way it is. So one other thing that I happened to see on the council website, there's a micro energy station going in between King Street and Merrick Street. So if you think Merrick Street comes down to the junction of what used to be Barclays Bank and WH Smith at one point, but it also goes down through the car park and around the back of the car park. So that technically that still counts as Merrick Street. So those of us that have been in and around there for a long, long time will remember that that used to be a road and it used to connect to the kind of the little shoot through from the bottom of Queen Street, by Justin's joint, just up from there is a road that goes down and then round back. So it used to connect, but it doesn't anymore. It was closed off. But there's a micro energy station going in there. Now, these are very much part of the future and seeing these going in, there's a rapid rollout of these around Pembrokeshire, which, and I personally think it's fantastic. Basically, what they are is storage station, energy storage stations. Okay, a giant battery. So when I say giant, they're about the size of They say they're about two car park spaces. That's the general size of them. So they're not massive. It's small. You can walk past them and not even notice they're there. But inside those is a massive battery that will store wind, solar energy. When those are being overproduced, it goes into there, it gets stored, and then it gets released back out at that point, which to me is, fantastic. That's what we need to do. More of that. Um, at some point, you know, again, this is something for a different pod, but yeah, at some point, this needs to start affecting electricity prices because there's a massive rollout of the amount of renewable electricity, and but the price is still controlled by the grid, and National Grid is still maintaining a higher price. So free expensive. Anyway, like I said, for another time, but these micro energy stations are very much a thing of the future and they should be encouraged on that. Okay, that's all of my news for this week. So let's have a little look at some events. So I haven't done this for a while, so I thought I'd take another look at the pay to hall regular events that are on. So Mondays, you've got Lloyd's Bank. I think that's every other week. But then you've got Slim and World. So they're 9 till 4, 9:30, 4:30. Slim and World in the main hall, 5 until. Is that in the main hall? Sure, that's in the main hall. 5 to 7. Yoga 6 till 7:15 on that. One of them will be in the main hall. One of them will be in the back hall. Line dancing. Who doesn't love a little bit of line dancing? On a Monday as well from 6 until 9. So I'm going to assume that that is in the main hall. Yoga probably in the back room in the warrior room, and slimming will possibly in the upstairs room at the front. Um, any queries on this, you can go to the Pater Hall page, and yeah, there's something in here somewhere where you can contact them. I think it's under, yeah, there we go, contact. Let me just move myself down a little bit here. Contact page here. Okay, so that's just a Monday. I mean, how awesome is that? Tuesday, I don't know what Lee Mills and the Circle meeting is. Slimming World again, 8:30 till 10:30. Vibe School of Dance 4 till 8. So we've got little ones that fancy learning how to dance. That's always a good place to go. And then Brownies and Rainbows 4:30 till 5:30. My daughter did Rainbows and Brownies. Absolutely loved it. Not that one, in a different one, but there's loads of them around. So this for me is probably the most interesting. Tai Chi, 2 till 3:30 on a Wednesday. Tai Chi is There's a lot of research going on with Tai Chi at the minute about just how effective it is in maintaining mobility in old age, and it's really, really good. So every second Wednesday we've got flower arranging 6:30 till 9:30, and every fourth Wednesday we've got a meeting of the Socialist Workers' Party. That's on a Wednesday between 7 and 8. On a Thursday, seated exercise from Age Cymru 10:30 till midday. That is absolutely cracking. If you've got any elderly members in your family, uh, elderly, what is elderly now? But anyone struggling with mobility or anything like that, doing seated exercise is really, really good for them. And it's a nice community as well. So that's always worth a good visit. 7 till 9 every second Thursdays, WI, and then Lindy Hop from 7 on there. And that's always a good fun one to go to. And then on a Friday, the Warrior Warm Room from 11 till 2. So there's also a warm room at Penna Hall, and I think the Foundry still do one. If this is a need that you have, then don't be embarrassed about going. or you just want to go and help, or you just want to go and make some friends, this is a really, really good thing to do. And then Saturday is Vibe School of Dance again, 9 till 5. And then Sunday, a little bit of bingo to finish the week off or start the week, whichever way you want to go. Who doesn't love a bit of bingo on there? All of that, one building in the town centre, something literally every day from Litlands up to Oldens, everybody in between. There is something there for someone. Um, yeah, make the most of it. Cracking place to go on that. Okay, let's have a. Oh, actually, I've got a couple of other bits and bobs as well on things. So I'm going to do a little bit of a Halloween special next week on events. So if you've got any events or I don't know, discos or scare rooms, anything like that coming up that you want to talk about, then let me know. Drop me an email or message me on Facebook. Email is ilovetowncast@gmail.com. But yeah, let's do a big promo on Halloween week next week. Now, the bit that I know is St. Govan's Centre has started dropping stuff on a Halloween week special there. Manor House has got some stuff going on with Halloween week. And I think Carew Castle. I think I saw Carew Castle as well. I've got something going on. So it looks like, it's gonna be a bit of a fun week. So if you've got something special going on, drop me an email, drop me a message, and let's talk about it next week on that. Fan Dabby Dozy. One thing to go back on. Should have put this in events as well. So this is for next week. This is one for your calendar. 7th of October, 4 till 7, up at the Innovation Centre, or the BIC as we call it. Um, so if you have any kind of ideas or thoughts or questions about the development of the Old Clyde Bridge Hotel, which has been turned into affordable housing, any questions as an informal chat about the plans and what have you, at the Innovation Centre from 4 till 7 on the 7th of October. Put it in your diary now, because you will forget. I will try and remind you next week. That's depending on whether I actually do a pod next week, because we all know how useless I am at doing this regularly at the minute. So, but that's one that's worth going to if you are thinking that that might be something for you, or you might be a resident, or you might just be curious. But it's informal, so it's come and have a chat to people. Probably got some information available, but always a good one to go to on that. Okay, right. Let's move on to the chatty bit. So the chatty bit this week, it kind of follows on from the events, really, to be honest. And I'm really encouraged to see so many things happening for Halloween. Really am on that, because there are a number of things through the year that you just go, okay, we could have done something for that. We could have done that. And I'm forever going, yeah, if only we could have done something there. If only we could have got people together there. So I've just spent far too much money in a very short period of time at the Narberth Food Festival. Now, I know many of you will have also gone to the Narberth Food Festival. Um, Changed it around a little and all. I didn't go last year, so they may have changed it last year, but they changed the layout and what have you. And it works. It works. It's a really good, well supported food festival. Um, Lots of businesses in there. Quite a lot of businesses from away this year, which would kind of confuse me a little. But I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, we used to do stuff in the town centre. We used to have stuff with events going on in the town centre. We used to have a beer festival in Pater Hall. We used to have we used to do bungee off the bridge. That was 10 years ago now. Bungee off the bridge. We were very, very close to making Dock Box Derby work in the town centre for um, bank holiday weekends. There's loads of stuff that we used to do in the town centre that we could do again. We're lucky in Pembroke Dock, where our town centre the way our town is set out on a grid, if you block one part of that grid, it's easy enough to go down another part of the grid to get to the same place. So closing streets to make an event is quite doable. Um, so yeah, I was sitting there. I had a some Mexican street food. Um, I bought a load of cheese, some beer, cakes, way too many cakes, some jam from farmers at home. And I'm just thinking, why have we not got this in the dock? We could totally do this in the dock. Um, and it does frustrate me a little. Maybe we could do it in the old Woolies building. Could we take the Woolies building over as a community event space and put events on in there? We could, if you look at Haverhub in Haverfordwest, that's run by a community-based charity. Yeah. And they run, all sorts of groups in there, but they also have, bands and they run food fest out of there. And there's always something going on. The hall's being hired out, it's being used. There's various groups that use it through the night. And this is in our town centre. This is right smack bang in the heart of our town centre in that Woolies building. Could we do it? Could we turn that building into a community asset where we could run things like a food festival, a beer festival? Could we run, we started doing the Star Wars festival, if we had the community space, then we could do it. Much like the Pater Hall. The Pater Hall could be used as well, but you've seen how many events they've got going on in there. So having a dead, you look at where the Pater Hall is, and then you look at where Woolies is. You could run the same event over two locations that are 50 yards away. We could get to that stage as well. But I'm just thinking it would be, how long has that building been sat empty now? And there's a lot of goodwill in Pembroke Dock. There's a lot of people in Pembroke Dock who are absolutely passionate about breathing some new life into our town centre. But here's the kicker. Here is where this is where Narberth does really, really well. In Narberth, the food festival works really, really well in Narberth because it doesn't buy from Tesco's. Okay. Now I know many of you will work in Tesco's and be scared by that, yeah. But prior to Tesco's, we had a town centre with two butchers, we had a fishmonger, we had two veg shops, we had a hardware store. We had all sorts of stuff. We had clothes stores. Yeah, we had two clothes stores in there. We had a men's clothes store. We had three clothes stores. So, we used to have lots of stuff in the town centre because people used it. We used to have pubs. We used to have so many pubs in the town centre that um, it was, the bits that are closing it down aren't the price. It's the fact that we're not going out anymore. We're not going and using them. But we used to have loads of stuff there. And we can do that again if we as residents commit to let's go and use it. Let's go and spend our money in that town centre. Part of that means town centre's got to kind of deliver that. But for me, if we had an event centre there, community event centre in the Woolies building, possibly. I don't know who owns it. I don't know how much it is. I don't know if they'd be willing to community transfer it. I don't know if we could organise enough of a community pot to purchase it. Who knows? Lots of things up in the air, but everything is possible when you've got the goodwill and the intentions of the people of the town. So, it could be something really, really good. it could be a fantastic thing to do, but it takes a lot of us to get together and do it. But even if we don't do a food festival in Woolies, I just think Pembroke Dock, with the way Pembroke Dock is laid out, it's screaming out for something like that to come to the dock. We could do a street food festival. I would love to do a pie festival. So I've seen pie festivals. Sometimes you get like smaller festivals where they just do, how many different types of pie can you have, and things like this, a pie and a pint, and those kind of things, and you put a band on. But it brings people into the town centre and it says, "Hey, look at all the stuff that we've got here. That you could totally come and do your shopping here every week." So yeah, that's really my call out to people in Pembroke Dock listening now. And by all means, share this with your friends and share this with your relatives, because it's going to take a lot of people and a lot of effort to make this happen. I literally just started, just done the Pembroke Towncast. We were talking about the skate park in Pembroke. It's going to take a massive effort, a lot of people, a huge amount of money, uh, but the goodwill is there and the intention is there. And if you're starting with those, then you're in the right ballpark. And I think the same is true of Pembroke Dock. You know, um, I think that we could absolutely look at Have a Hub and go, can we do something similar to Have a Hub in the Woolies shop in the town centre? Have a Hub used to be the post office, and the post office delivery area behind it. We could do something similar in Woolies. We could make it we could have pop-up shops in there. We could have, weekly markets. We could do, a festival event there once every 2 months, where you can have your Christmas festival, you can have your summer festival, you can have food festivals, you can have your beer festival. There's all sorts of stuff that we could do if we wanted to, if we can get enough people together and make that work. So I'm on board with it. I'm on board. I think that absolutely we can do that. And I know a lot of the people that I used to say that to, they, there were two groups of people. I'd go, right, I've got an idea, and half of the room would go and hide and go, oh crap, this is going to be big, and we're going to do something. And the other half will go, oh, okay, we're going to do something, and it's going to be big. That's where Bungee off the Bridge came from. That's where the Dock Box Derby came from. We can do stuff in that town centre and use that Woolies building if we can get enough of us on board. So that's my message to you now. Let's see. Can we get enough people on board, enough goodwill to buy the Woolies building and turn it into a community hub, something similar to Have a Hub, pop-up shops and um, a festival venue of some sort. Um, yeah, let's get some ideas going. I genuinely believe in the people of Pembroke Dock. I genuinely believe that in Pembroke Dock we have got enough good people to make that a success. You look at the food hall that was in the market for a period of time, and they had no parking. Everyone had to walk to. We could totally do that in that site if we got enough people together. So yeah, that is my call to you for our chatty bit for this week is, can we get enough of us together to do something in there? Can we get something started? Hands up, I am on board with that. My wife is going to hate the fact that I've just volunteered to do something else again, but I think that we can do this, people. I really do think that we can do it. So if you fancy it, if you're up for it, comment on the video, comment on Facebook, or send me an email, and let's get some of this going. Okay, so while I'm thinking of that, while I'm saying that, if you're liking what you're hearing and you're liking what you're seeing, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Makes a massive difference to us. If you fancy coming and being part of Towncast Pembroke Dock. If you care about your town and you want to do something good for your town, I had loads of good messages over the last couple of weeks with people just. I think you're getting the hang of it now, where I want to bring other people on board so they can help me to do things, and we can make this bigger and better. I've got loads of good stuff coming that I'll tell you about in the next couple of weeks, but we've had inquiries, not inquiries, but we've had comments from people in Mid Wales, North Wales, Carmarthenshire, Ceredigion, Cardiff. Can we do a towncast for our town? Let's get this going. Let's get this up and running. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I'd love to, show what Pembroke Dock can do and have three or four of us on here and having a chat about how great we are in Pembroke Dock. So if you fancy it, share us, subscribe to our YouTube. But if you want to get involved, I love towncast@gmail.com. And yeah, let's get some stuff running on that. Fan Dabby Dozy. Let's do some sport. So sport is a little bit easier this week, simply because Quins didn't have a game. It was Division Four Cup, and for some reason they I don't know if they got a bye in that round. I'll be honest, I didn't look at the cup fixtures before the start of the season. Anyway, Quins weren't playing last week, so nothing to report on the rugby. What I do want to do in the coming weeks is have a look at the youth rugby and things like that, and start reporting on youth rugby. But again, just need people to come and give us a hand doing that. I also know, there's loads of other sports being played. I know hockey, I know swimming, I know athletics. If you're a member of any sports team or association or whatever, and you want your sport spoken about, then drop me a line and just let me know where I can find your results on what we can do on that. Okay, let's have a little look at the football Division One, the Manderwood Pembrokeshire League Division One. Yeah, here we go. So Penn and Robbins drew 2-2 with Tenby in Division One. Carew lost 3-2 at Narberth. I mean, it's still early in the season. We're only 6 games in. Carew, three off the bottom. Penn Robbins, four off the bottom, which not usually where you would find Penn Robbins, in all honesty. They used to be in around this area, so not used to be in there. Now, I'm going to assume that there's cup matches coming this weekend because there isn't a league fixture, but the next league fixture for Carew is on the 11th, and that's where they host Goodwick. Penn Robbins, same weekend, will host Fishguard Sports on that one. Okay, Division 2. This is where I start losing track of who's in what league. So Kira Reserves lost 5-0 at home to Johnston. If you're interested, Monkton Swift Reserves lost 3-2 away in Herbernston. Again, no fixtures for the coming week, but Carew Reserves will travel to Johnston on the 11th. And bum, 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 oh yeah, Monkton Swift Reserves travel to Neyland as well on that. Am I missing something there? Division 3. Let's have a look in Division 3 on that one. So, have we got anyone in Division 3? There we go. Penrobin seconds beat Clarbeston 3-2. Pembroke Borough lost 4-2 at home to Loreni on that one. Where does that leave everybody in the table? Loreni is second in the division. Penrobin seconds, one off the bottom. Pembroke Borough, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth in the table on 11 points. I say it's still early doors. There's only 6 games played. So we're still early doors on that one, which is quite nice. 11th of October, the Borough will travel to Haverfordwest Cricket Club. Loreni will travel to Letterston, and Penrobin seconds will travel to St Clair's, Division 4. Let's have a look at Division 4. Have we got anyone in Division 4? Not really anyone there. Newport Tigers beat Hundleton 11-3. That is insane. That is an insane score there. Division 5, then. Let's have a look at Division 5. Loreni Reserves. Actually, let's do the results first. So Loreni Reserves lost 2-0 at St Clair's Reserves. Pembroke Borough Reserves lost 2-1 at Milford United Thirds. I think that's it for that one. Where does everyone sit in the table? Pembroke Borough Reserves joint top with Narberth, just goal difference separating them there. And the Rennie Reserves, there we go, three off the bottom, just 3 points there. So fixtures coming up then. Again, 11th of October, Loreni Reserves will host Prendergast Villa, and Pembroke Borough Reserves will host St Clair's Reserves. No, they're not. They're there. So that looks like a good start to the season, but I say it is early. It is early part of the season on that. So thank you for your time, your attention for this week's podcast. Hopefully, I say this every week. Hopefully, I'll be back next week. I did plan this week. I planned on recording on Friday, publishing on Saturday. Never happens. Never happens. I don't know why I do it. But yeah, if you want to get involved and help me to make this a bit more regular, please do. And until then, let's all make Pembroke Dock proud. Have a great week. Thanks very much. Be strong.